First of all, let me just welcome everybody to our webinar. We have some wonderful guests today, and I'll introduce them individually. This is actually, this is our fourth, I think it is. Hold on. This is our fourth webinar, and we'd like you to, want to welcome you to our Europeana communicators community. And we are a specialist community. Then we belong to the Europeana Network Association, and we're all communication professionals from museums, libraries, galleries, archives across Europe and beyond. We have a few beyonds today, which is really nice. Welcome to our beyonds. And those of you who are coming into our webinars for the first time, don't forget to sign up for our network association and hopefully join us as communicators. So our goal is to strengthen digital cultural heritage and sector by promoting digital cultural heritage in action and supporting each other, and our phrase is to be the best communication professionals that we can be. So that is our goal. And today we are inviting you to a webinar on education, and it's our fourth webinar in Culture from Home series. We decided to focus on the idea of people working from home because we were working from home and our participants were working from home, which meant we had a home-to-home conversation, which is lovely because we get to see all the cats and the dogs and the kids and the bookcases and all the decorations. But we're finding now that people are gradually going back to work. We're in a transitional period. And we're sort of changing our framing, our framework. So we're no longer culture from home. We're continuing with other webinars. In fact, our next webinar is a webinar on how to do a webinar. So it sounds a bit silly actually, but I think it's a very good idea. So we've had so far webinars on social media. Our first one was mainly on museums, and then the next one was libraries, and a couple of weeks ago on archives. Oh, we have some more people coming from Bavaria. I can't pronounce your name, Bejana Jazz, and Barbara from Germany. Ah, Barbara hi Barbara from Campo, our friend, and Maria from Italy. So we're right now 50 participants and 6 panelists, and we're ready to start our webinar. So a little housekeeping before we start. Please introduce yourself, continue introducing yourself in the chat. Please note that the webinar will be recorded. We are already recording, and parts of this may be made available online. So if anybody has a problem with that, please contact us after the webinar and we can do some little editing. So that's a problem from anybody. So please see this as an open invitation to join the Europeana communicators, and you see the link there on the screen. You will receive an email at the end of this webinar with the links to the PowerPoint itself and to a recording after a few days. So you'll see the links and you can then click on them, the live links from the PowerPoint. And also, most important for us is a survey. So please pick up the link from later on. You'll get this again. It's in the chat at the moment. Thank you, Beth. You can copy it from the chat. The surveys are really important for us because it means that we can find out what we've done wrong and how we can improve. And sometimes this encouragement is all we need to prepare the next webinar. So please, for us, fill in the Survey Monkey. It's incredibly important. And while you're here this morning, anybody not as morning as anybody on the other side of the world, please tweet. And our handle is Europeana Communities. So tweet away, enjoy yourselves. I hope you have an enjoyable webinar. The way we work is you can ask questions in the Zoom, okay, the chat function. So I will be looking at the chat, and my colleague Beth will be making sure I look at the chat and prompting me. So we'll, at the end of each speaker, we'll have 5 minutes of questions. And at the end, we will have another opportunity for questions. But I think the most important part of our webinars, or maybe not the most important, because always our speakers are the most important, but after the formal webinar, we turn off the recording, and then we have a free conversation, which we call the Tana Libera Tutti. Thank you, Mariana, for that concept. A free-for-all discussion, which means that everybody can say whatever they want to say. And as it's not being recorded, our experience is that people are very free to speak, and it's a very delightful half hour at the end of a formal webinar. It's not going to be recorded, and it will be made available afterwards. And we'll be delighted if you stay for the Tana Libera Tutti and take part, or just listen. So that's us in a nutshell. Whoops, hold on. Let me just introduce my my presenters. I'm Susan Khazan, and I'm in Jerusalem at the moment. And this morning we have 3 wonderful speakers in the field of education. Isabel Crespo, she's actually in Rotterdam from the European Foundation, and she's the manager of the European education community. So it's wonderful to hear all the work that's being done by Europeana in the field of education. And then we'll listen to Emma, who's now at the moment in South Italy. And she's going to be talking about, hi Emma, and she's going to be talking about Europeana and Minecraft, which will be mind-boggling, Minecraft-boggling. And then we will hand over to Anke, an art historian, museum educator, specialist in participation in social media. Very welcome to the 3 of you. And Anke is actually in Köln, in Germany. So our panel is already pan-European, and I'm in Jerusalem. And our participants are still rolling in. Ping is here from UNESCO World Heritage, and embarking on a new journey to look for synergy between heritage and youth education. Well, you've come to the right place. Here we go. So let me hand over to Isabel Crespo. Are you ready, Isabel? Okay, yes. Please, the floor is yours.
So I guess I have control now. So thank you, Susan. Thank you, Beth, and the communicators community to invite me in this fantastic series of webinars. Okay, that's perfect. So let's move backwards. Europeana staff, but also the network association members of 3,000 professionals in the GLAM sector, we really believe that digital cultural heritage has a crucial role to play in education, informal and informal. But to that aim, we've work really hard, especially focusing in primary, secondary, and compulsory education, in order to scale kind of quickly our initiative. But also knowing that at the moment we started, this was like 3 years ago, at around 3 years ago that we started this initiative in education, knowing that ministries of education and schools, they were in their path, in their journey of their digital transformation, introducing new digital technologies, but also new methodologies in education. As a starting point, we asked to ourselves, which is the added value of Europeana? It goes so quick for some reason. And this was, obviously, we have a lot of items. We have 58 million items in our portal, but 20 million are open license and suitable for being used in education. Also, we are a repository for arts and sciences, so you can find any kind of subjects, natural history, maps and geography, migration, music, and many more. And we are pan-European. We gather content from 37, 35, sometimes more or less this changes a bit, 3,500 institutions across Europe. So this means a huge cultural diversity of content. We are multilingual. You can browse Europeana in 27 languages, European languages, but find it in 37 European languages as well. And everything is legally accessible through our portal. We wanted, this was, of course, this is endless sources of knowledge, and our aim is to bring all this content to every school, every teacher, every student across Europe. Not an easy task, as you may imagine, right? So that's why we realized, obviously, that we need to partner with those having the knowledge, but also the network. We currently pursue collaborations. We have already some collaborations with ministries of education, with European associations related with education across Europe and innovation, and also with the industry, edtechs, entrepreneurs, companies that they use our content to create a new product, learning product, either a learning environment, an application, or a game. One of our main partners in this initiative is Europeana Schoolnet. This is a network of 37 ministries of education across Europe. It's an European project, and which tries to foster innovation into the classroom. And with them, we've organized during the last 2 years a group of teachers at around 140 teachers. I've seen already some of them as participants in the chat, so hello everyone. This lovely group of teachers that represents different European countries also represents different age levels and different curricular subjects. So we ask them a very simple question. Look, this is our free open license content. What can you do in your daily practice with this content? So we let them decide what to do and how to do it. So we've been creating pedagogical material, lesson plans at around 200 this year, and we'll have 200 more at the end of August. Also, they've been creating videos, promotional material, but webinars to spread the word at national level with their own language. And these two components have been the base for the MOOC, Europeana in Your Classroom MOOC. That has been quite successful so far, and we got at around 2,000 participants last year. This is a MOOC made by teachers to help other teachers to use and integrate digital culture into the classroom. But not just that, it's also introduced new methodologies like CLIL, STEAM, inquiry-based learning, project-based learning, and new methodologies for assessment. So we started in 2017 with a pilot project, kind of a pilot project. In 2000, it worked well, so we improved the MOOC in 2018. And because of the results, we just jumped to offer national language versions. And in 2019 and 2020, we have 2 extra language versions more. We are still analyzing the data, but I can offer the ones from 2019. Before the survey and after, before the MOOC and after the MOOC, we have always surveys in Europeana. You will see that we love surveys in order to see how the things went, if we fulfill their expectations, if they're really have the feeling that they feel more confident using digital culture. And for now, we got also really nice feedback that help us to improve this material for the next years. I wanted to show you this slide briefly in order to show you how there's a strong pedagogical methodology after the work we are doing. All the learning scenarios that the teachers create are really well structured. When you open one of them, you will get fantastic instructions of each level, time that you need to invest for the lesson, which are the learning outcomes, through which methodologies. So it's a fantastic way to be able to implement and reuse this material. All these learning scenarios are now in a section, Europeana Classroom. In the revamped Europeana platform, we launched a new improved platform at the end of March. And in there you will find not just the lesson plans, you will also find applications, games, training tools that can help you, again, to include or to integrate this material as a teacher into the classroom. So this has been the work during the last 2 years, and now we are really interested to help the sector, the CLAM sector, to get involved in our initiative and to help them to connect online with the schools and teachers across Europe. That's why now we are starting a new strategy. We will switch a bit in order to understand what museum educators need in order to make this connection online with the schools in their surroundings. So one of the proposals we have is through capacity building. We will think about a new MOOC that can help us to make strengthen this collaboration with teachers, but also we want to offer free online tools that is not costly, and any museum educator, any education department in cultural heritage institutions can implement and can integrate in their educational activities. One of those applications or platforms is Historiana. This is already online, it's already available. And Historiana is a platform designed by Euroclio, another great partner of Europeana. This is the European Association of History Educators. And what you can find in there is it's simply described an online learning environment where teachers, students, and educators can interact together. You can find their historical content. You can create your source collection. These are mini collections of items referring historical topic or episode that can be transnational. For now, all the source collections that you will find in there have been designed with Europeana sources, but our aim is to offer it to the museums and cultural heritage institutions to create their own source collection. This is one of the items. When you open, there's also an historical background, some information that can trigger historical thinking in the students. And also, besides having the historical content, you will find ready-to-use learning material, but also, if this is not enough, you can build your own learning lesson plan, because there's different building blocks that allows you to do fantastic things. You can analyze sources, you can annotate, highlight, because you can use the new improved Historiana that will be launched very soon. You will be able to use visual items, but also textual items. And you can compare, as you can see in the third image, similar sources. So there's a lot of possibilities. And last but not least, you can also use content from institutions that already offer their material via API. You will find Europeana content, you will find content from the Rijksmuseum, from the Imperial War Museum, and many more. So this is something that has a lot of potential, and we want to bring to museum educators and the cultural heritage sector starting from now on. There's a webinar that we are organizing sometime this month, but if you want to be part or you want to participate in this webinar, where Euroclio will explain how to design all these learning activities, how you do the best with your content, the digital content, you have to do us a favor first. We need you to fill in a survey, because now with MIMO, the European Association of Museum network of European museum associations. With this network, we are trying to understand the needs of museum educators. That's why we are running a survey. It will be running until 20 June. So please take a note of the survey and fill in, because the idea is to understand to what extent museum educators have digitized their collections, how they are using them in their learning activities, how they are using online tools to interact with the schools. So this will give us a lot of information to shape this strategy for the next couple of years. And also it will be a possibility for you to join the webinar. And just finishing, Suzanne, I'm just going to invite you to the education community, which is an open, free community where for those dealing with digital learning and e-learning and digital cultural heritage, we share best practices and also European projects where you can get involved. So this was it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for keeping to time, Isabella. To my horror, I forgot to introduce you in the excitement of the moment. So I put your little bio into the chat. But I think we've got a very clear picture of who you are and what you've been doing. So we have a couple of questions from the audience, and one is from Angelica, Angeliki. How is suitability for education assessed? What do you actually mean by suitability out of all the wealth of Europeana? How do you make choices?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. Thank you. We have different strategies here, because as you can imagine, tackle all the European countries, all the European curricula, all the changes in curricula and introduction to new technologies, is everything happening right now, and it's really difficult to have a unique strategy. So at the beginning, we were really focused on creating material with digital content, digital cultural heritage content that really fit the curricula, and we have material that really does this. But over the years, we've realized also that there are cross subjects, really important cross subjects that like inclusion, diversity, as you can imagine, environment, and critical thinking, all these the subjects that foster key competencies in education. Now it's not just about acquiring historical knowledge, data, is about how they think, the student, that maybe will help them to acquire key competencies and abilities for the future. So suitability is something that we are changing in time. Is not just about creating material that suits the curricula and the teacher can say, look, I can implement it tomorrow. It's also to give them ideas to talk about environment in their civic lessons or their history lessons or natural history lessons. So this is a bit our proposal.
Thank you, Isabel. We have two more questions. I think Jochen Burchel, she's asked, he or she, sorry, is asking a question to all panelists. I think maybe we'll address that at the end in our pre-discussion about how teachers can create collections online. It's a very important conversation we need to have together. But let me just ask you the question from Daniela Bunet. Are there any European learning scenarios, especially designed for teaching live online synchronously? In real time?
Actually, all that we create, you can implement it right now online. I mean, all our material is available online. So all the learning scenarios that we've designed with the teachers in the last 2 years, you could implement easily into the classroom tomorrow. In the situation we are living these days. So, but also if you are interested in specific activities, the teachers recently have been doing things that are specifically, particularly to implement online. So I can give you some examples if you are interested on that kind of material.
And I have a personal question. What does historical thinking mean?
Yes, historical thinking is the best to answer this question is Steven Sticher, the people from Euroclio, but it's a different way to look at to history. I mean, we've been always relying a lot in the book text that really focus on the national narrative without looking at other kind of angles that history provides. No? And the history is not just one truth. Is the interpretation of some objects and some documents that left people in the past. So it's about thinking critically about some facts in history. For instance, I don't know, propaganda, how propaganda has been used during the First World War, positively and negatively, because also they made great campaigns for pandemias, and also negatively to push and put people against, no? But historical thinking is mainly interested in to have this, how to tell now, different views about one historical event, right?
Isabel, thank you very much. There's a lot of questions coming in that perhaps you'll be able to respond to a bit later because we have to move now to Emma. But Pink Heritage and Education is asking about project-based learning curriculum based on World Heritage properties. And do you have any suggestions about this theme and the potential in Europeana? And I think it's Maria would like to know if there are any digital materials and programs for disabled people. So perhaps you can address that either in the chat or later on in our conversation. And I would like to introduce you, Isabel, thank you very much. And it's so nice to know that you're always available in Europeana for all the education community. Emma, over to you. I will introduce you this time because I've remembered. And you're in the Liceo Alexandro Manzoni Caserta, and you'll be discussing Europeana and Minecraft and a gamified approach to digital archives to enhance creativity in the classroom. So a former teacher of Latin, very appropriate in Minecraft, history, art and geography and English, and specializing in language integrated learning. You have very good, very interesting bio. I'm going to put the full bio into the chat so everybody can appreciate you. And I'm going to allow you to explain to us what you're doing in education, and particularly with Minecraft. Fascinating.
Okay, so so the screen, now I share my screen. No, it's already, I can go on with the presentation.
Should be, yeah.
Okay. So, yes,
perfect.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. Yes, I am a high school teacher. I'm a teacher of IGCSE Geography and History. That are some subjects that are taught completely in English, and our students sit for the exams at the end of the year for the Cambridge examination exams in these two subjects. My presentation today is about the virtual reality, augmented reality, and the combination of Europeana digital archives with some very easy to use tools, web tools. In particular, two very nice tools that are Minecraft and Mozilla Hubs. I will tell you both because I will talk about both because one, Minecraft is maybe a little bit specialistic and specific and needs some expertise to be very good at using it in education. The other one is really, really easy to use, really a game for children. This presentation and idea to combine Minecraft and Europeana was born when I participated this year to a project from Indire. Indire is the Italian National Institute for Documentation, Innovation and Education. It was experimentation to use Minecraft in in the classroom because this game is very popular, very known, has two versions. One version is the classical, traditional game version in which you have to survive in the world you create, and the other version is for schools. In this period of coronavirus, Microsoft, because Minecraft belongs to Microsoft, offered for free the Minecraft educational edition, and it is free till the end of June. Usually, it's not an open source, but usually a school can buy the license from Microsoft. It's not very expensive, and students are usually very good in using it. So I thought that was a good idea to put together, to blend, and the result was a perfect marriage, as I called it. I participated to the first massive open course that Isabel talked about before, about Europeana in 2018. And it was a very great experience. And I also participated to the second massive open course that was that finished just 1 month ago, the Italian edition, because the first one was only in English. But I wanted to take part to both. Why Minecraft? Because Minecraft is a great tool for the skills of the futures. Minecraft and all the video games, especially in this period in which students were isolated at home because of the spread of the COVID-19, as a teacher of high school, I want to find a way to increase creativity, to enhance creativity in my students. And so I thought about a game. You know that game-based learning is very on vogue in this period, a game to help them to create, because isolation is very heavy, is exhausting to tolerate. And so my idea was to conjunct, to link the game with the study of my subjects for my students, geography and history. I also cooperated with the University of Naples, and so just really 2 words about the pedagogical strategies that are the base of this approach. Of course, problem-based learning, project-based learning, because as you will see, we have students make a project to transfer in a Minecraft world, debate, because they work as a team, so they have to debate to solve problems, to have a solution to these problems. CLIL, because I'm also a CLIL teacher. CLIL is a content language integrated learning, so I teach my subjects in English basically, and game-based learning, as I have just told. This is the link to education minecraft.net site. You can find a lots of lessons that teachers share with the communities, so it's a very great inspiration for all. We transfer our project on Minecraft in a virtual private network called Damachi that is totally free, and because in this way our student can share the world of Minecraft they were building without paying anything. So it was possible to go on with this project also during the lockdown and the closure, also during the closure of the schools. When use Europeana and Minecraft together, of course, to solve real life tasks, you know that it's so important to give students real life tasks to accomplish, because it's something that have to catch them, not something that is far from their world and from the reality they live. I suggest the use of Europeana and Minecraft also when the topic is very difficult or boring, and so in order to engage students, you start from an open question to stimulate learners. For example, I would imagine a smart city, a city of the future in Minecraft, and so from these questions, the students are free to create whatever they want. This is a suggestion of a workflow in Minecraft, a sort of plan you can follow. Problem setting, you decide the themes, the students have the roles. For example, the more expert in Minecraft search Europeana. Minecraft is basically a very easy, is a game that is very popular among teenagers. My students are 14 years old, but you can use it also in the pre-elementary school, because it's basically, if you don't have kids like me, it's basically like Legos. It's a virtual Legos in which you can create endless worlds. So you have a problem to solve, as the one I told before, and you can also practice public speaking skills, because students have to communicate a lot to the side. The first project that I approached with my students was about recreating the Hanging Garden of Babylon and the Seven Wonders of the Ancient World. It was an history project inspired by the movie Alexander the Great, because this scenario of Alexander entering the ancient Babylon was very impressive for our students, and so that we decided to recreate the world. Europeana was the big repository, the big treasures, where we to take all the resources that we need to recreate this ancient world, from the plans of the ancient buildings, the Ishtar door, for example, to the wall ceramic bricks, to the ancient city. So the students collect lots of ideas with my guide, with my help, and they also reconstructed, because we have also the plans of the Hanging Garden of Babylon and Europeana, and so they designed, you can see all the work they did is a really big work. And also we went on with other important seven wonders of the past, like for example the pyramid of Giza. It's not just to recreate the shape of the pyramid, but also to explore the internal of the building, because Europeana give you lots of resources to reconstruct in a very original way the things that became real in the world of Minecraft. You can watch the result to these two links in which I collect all the lesson plan and and the link to the project, and also a video about it. Another way was the smart city of the future. You know that ecological aims and priorities are so important in our society. You can we decided for geography to recreate a city of the past for a course that I had in another massive open course about addressing the global climate crisis in your classroom. And me and my students, we recreated a city of the future with, for example, you see the windmill, the wind source of energy, alternative solar source of energy, a school of the future, a building of the future, a villa of the future, really. And all the resources for the city of the future were taken by Europeana, because you can also create characters. They are in Minecraft, they are called non-players characters that they can talk with you, they can show with you all the reality around you. So Europeana give the words to make these characters speak in the virtual world of Minecraft. You can share all about this project with some virtual pooling tools that we practice with Hetraining already know. For example, this debate platform Chialo, Padlet, that is a virtual wall. So the students can exchange ideas and feedbacks about how to build in Minecraft, and so they can construct the reality, this virtual world in Minecraft. This is a homework I give to my students for summer holidays. It's also good to improve, to enhance the coding skills, because in Europeana you can also practice coding, and so the digital skills. I asked them to reconstruct the life of the ancient pharaoh of Egypt, Tutankhamun, through the items that were found in his tomb, and all the items are in Europeana archaeology archive repository. So it's very funny, because I asked also them to make an hypothesis about his mysterious death, and they can make his characters speaking. So the characters from history can become real in this endless world of Minecraft. But if you are not so so expert and so talented with web tools, and maybe Minecraft can seem too difficult, but don't worry, because the students help you. They are so good in Minecraft. We know that they are able to learn very fast, especially the digital games. You can use another tool.
Emma,
it's totally free. You're
running over time because we have to.
Yeah, sorry. So just this, you can recreate also the exhibition in this team that is Mozilla Hubs. The scenarios are already done, so you don't need to create in Minecraft. So you have already done. You just put the sources for my Europeana inside these scenarios that are already done. You can make talk your characters that are your avatars. I'm here if there is some question. Sorry if I was longer.
Well, you haven't actually got time for questions now, but have a look in the chat, and
yeah.
we'll get back to them at the end, because we have to move on. But you have both you and Isabel have actually a great fan club out there in our visitors today, our participants. You're getting a lot of very nice feedback, so take your time and then please read it. Does somebody just close the chat? Can somebody who's playing with the Mac? Thank you. Okay, I think we're going to move on from, we'll leave your questions now from the chat. We've received a couple of questions for you for the end, because I'd like to move on to Anke. And I'd like to introduce Anke. Can I have the, wait, please, can I have the slide pack? Okay, I'll actually, thank you very much, Emma. That was, you'll see the way people responded, that there's an absolute fantastic response to the work you're doing. I'm sure there'll be a lot of follow-up, because a lot of people would like to learn about how they can integrate Europeana and Minecraft in their own educational projects. A lot of potential there. So I'd like to introduce Anke. Good morning, welcome. Anke van Heel, art historian and museum educator, and a specialist for participation in social media. So between listening and inspiration, that's so lovely, art education in the digital area, and how to interact with art and people. Art, as an art historian, working as the head of the editorial to Neues Publishing and researcher, Museum Dienst Köln. Since 2002, has been working as a freelancer for museums and cultural institutions throughout Germany. Anke van Heel runs a successful cultural blog. I hope you'll be writing all about our webinars on your blog. Thank you. And she specializes in visitor orientation, very important, and social media expert. Focus on participatory formats and digital pathways into the museum, a woman of my own heart. I love these ideas, and is currently working as a consultant for cultural development. So over to you, Anke. Can't wait to hear.
Thank you very much, Susan, for the nice introduction of my person who is coming from outside into your community. I have always one eye on everything which happens on Europeana, and I've also been there some years ago to discuss a little bit about projects we can do with bloggers. So I'm a critical friend, to say. And I need to press what to start my.
Just click on the screen.
Ah, yes, now. Yeah, to show the first slide. And I want to say, or to admit, that it's not my daily business to speak in English, so I apologize at the beginning for the lack of practice in speaking in English, but I try my very best, and I thank you for the invitation, or for the possibility to give me a voice in your communication community and in your webinar. I attended one of your webinars, and at the end in the survey I think, when I remember good, that I gave the idea of speaking something at your next webinar, and so here I am. I'm very impressed what Isabel talked about, the structures and all the very well organized classroom connections on Europeana. It's really a great job Europeana did for the collaboration with school classes, and also what Emma said about Minecraft is very thrilling. For myself, I part between digital art education or education and education in the, let's say, digital area, especially online in the social networks. And this is something different. It's, let's say, a way to go out and to get in contact with the people. You talked about projects where you have your groups beside you and you have already the contact, and maybe I can give some thoughts, only food for thought, not very big projects like you already did, but some thoughts how we can get in contact. And listening and inspiration, these are two buzzwords, but I think they are very, very important if you want to get in contact with new target groups, with new people, or let's say with younger people. This is always an aim I hear when it comes up to how can we act and how can we put art education into social media. I brought a picture which you may have been seen before. This is a painting from the Louvre, and it shows a self-portrait from an 18th century painter as a mock, and it is well known as a meme in the internet, and this is something I have an eye on, because it shows what conversations and what ways of playing around in the social networks are going on. And you all know probably the idea of memes, that you can change every picture with your personal attribution. And I put on this painting from Joseph Ducru a citation from a museum director from the 20th century, which is named John Cotton from the New York Museum. And he said this quote in 1917, not 70, 17. So it's 100 years ago that a museum director claimed that learn what aid the community needs and fit the museum to those needs. This is somehow a sort of motto for me. And this is also something which connects to listening. Yeah, you should know what they need, but also the further target you can have to inspire the people out there and to get in contact with them. The next slide will give you some ideas what I mean with the digital area, and what I mean also with the idea of meeting people there, of getting in contact with people, because it is somehow organized in several parts of speaking, of listening, of discussions out there, and you always have the chance to get into all the subjects and to see what people are concerned of, what people are discussing, what they are thinking, if you listen very good, if you know, okay, these are some topics out there, these are very actual topics, this is now something the people are concerned of, and what they want to speak about. And this is a chance to think of maybe ideas of connection, of supplying some content which gives very appropriate possibilities to cling to these topics. And you also have maybe at one point sort of visions for the future, and you don't need, as a museum or as an institution, to always supply your visions, but to think about the visions out there, about the discussions, or maybe also about the emotions and the feelings of the people. And then in the next step you can give them also, like you gave me the voice, you can give the people also a voice. You can putting someone else in charge for telling stories, also stories about history, about art history. This is something which maybe is somehow not very common in the classical art institutions or cultural institutions, because they always have the somehow the way of telling stories on their own. Yeah, they want to control this way of telling stories. But I think it has to do a lot with letting go and giving the possibility over to the community, to other people, to people you want to attract. And this gives me another idea of creating new communities, or the question how to connect or how to build up communities. You know, the buzzword community building is going around the area, and everybody wants to attract new communities and to get in touch with them. And there are two main possibilities I want to show you. The one is the way of giving chances to do co-creation, and I think Emma did a lot good work with this idea of Minecraft, and maybe something from this special tools can go over also into the social media area. And the other very, very important way of getting in touch with people can be a community of practice. Maybe you as the communicator community are also somehow a community of practice. And I gave you an example from the Goethe Museum in Düsseldorf, which is doing a daily Insta talk at to attract people and to create a new content together in a daily Insta talk, the Goethe MoMA, which is very much appreciated. And I also give you an example for co-creation we did with the Kunsthalle Karlsruhe, where you get very analog little paper pieces, and they supplied these paper pieces for the community, and they could play around with it and show the examples they did with the little details out of artworks. And I see you, Susan. I have to finish now because yeah, there's so many to explain and to tell about how to get in touch with the people and how to supply things for them to go into co-creation. And yeah, just one word about the idea of starting with little things is that you can't talk about or educate very deep content if you don't have a little hint, a little point where you can dive into the interest making part. You need a sort of a hook. So this is something I can show you as a little beginning of maybe getting into a greater community contact. So this is this for the moment, and I'm interested if there are some questions about this.
Thank you, Anke. That was lovely, actually. And I love your examples of co-creation, and certainly museum objects are those objects that inspire us all. I just want to make a point. Oh, complexity. Okay.
No.
You?
Shall I finish the, or
Please do.
take away the the control from the presentation?
Well, did you have another slide that you wish to continue with?
No, I have only one slide to show where you can reach me. Maybe also my blog is in German, so I apologize for this, but I'm on Twitter. I have the AK Kulturtussi, so if anybody wants to reach out for me, you can meet me on Twitter.
Okay, thank you very much. And you've opened up lots of new ideas. I'm sure people will want to reach you. I just want to make a point here. As you've been speaking, and as we've all been engaged with this conversation, our community is being really active. We've become a sort of micro multiverse, because while Anke's speaking on the main panel, we have Emma, who's busy chatting in the links section and in the chat and answering everybody all the questions, all the passionate questions that are coming out. At the same time, Isabel has been busy in the questions and answers, answering all the questions. So all this is going on while we're focused on other things, which means that we're really good at multitasking. So let me say thank you to all my participants who have been multitasking throughout this presentation. And I'd like to know, are there any specific questions to Anke, or any questions to all our panelists before we moved to our Tana Libera Tutti. So has anybody, please put them in the chat or the QA, and then we'll be able to voice them. I see most of the questions have already been answered, and okay, but you're getting such good responses.
Susan, excuse me. Some attendees asked me if we could share the presentation on the website.
Everybody who's registered in this this webinar will receive links to the PowerPoint and the recording and any follow-up that we do. So yes, of course, absolutely.
Because I missed to think lots of things. Sorry if I was longer.
You're all marvelous. You're absolutely fine. Maybe my three panelists would like to ask questions themselves, as your colleagues are next to you and all alive on your videos. So yeah, any questions between the three of you? No?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still amazed of the work of Emma because we didn't know each other till she posted in our community, because our community allows this, share ideas and projects that everybody's doing to innovate with digital learning into the classroom. So I saw her post about a webinar that she made. And I'm still wondering how you get into connect both things, how everything started, why you decided, okay, Europeana has content that can be used in Minecraft. And
because I was finding a strategic way to make my students work from home. Because the Europeana Digital Park is become alive with Minecraft and the Mozilla Hubs, because in this virtual world you can make the resources of Europeana something effective. For example, one colleague from the chat asked me a free software to make exhibitions of items from Europeana. Ecco, Mozilla Hubs that I was really too long and I didn't have the time to present. It's a very, very easy tool to use. You just create a virtual room and you can make the exhibition of whatever you want from Europeana. You can make your characters speaking. For example, you have the scenarios already done for you, so you don't have to create like in Minecraft. That's why it's easier. Anyway, with my presentation, everything will be clear, because I give all the links, all the way how to reconstruct the Europeana, how to use the Europeana resources in these two very useful tools that are Minecraft and Mozilla Hubs.
As we're reaching the hour, sadly, we need to wrap up. But at the end of this webinar, for me, it seems like the opening of some very good discussions. We've all, as Isabel said of Emma, we've all become aware of what you're doing. We can all see potential to network directly or across our community or throughout Europeana. So it's very good that you've all come together and shared your wonderful work with everybody. And I think this is definitely the beginning of new networking and new collaborations. So I want to thank the three of you for sharing, Isabella, Emma and Anka for sharing everything. It was just, for us, it was wonderful. And don't go anywhere, because we still will continue, but we're going to stop recording. But before we stop recording, I just want to remind you, please join, those who are joining us for the first time, don't forget to join the Europeana communicators so you can join in our conversation, and the link is there. And most important for us, as I said in the beginning, we need your survey. Please do, it's very quick, but we need to get your input so that we can improve ourselves, because we have a lot to learn. As Emma said, that once your students are at home, with all of you, and you realize that you need to make these connections while people were at home, I think the Europeana community has actually responded amazingly in providing these connections between the professionals, the museum libraries and archivists, and the people, the children, the adults, the professionals at home, and all these connections are coming out that have proved this lattice of professionals are doing amazing stuff in this period. But luckily, most of us are coming out of lockdown. We're going back to work, children are going back to school. We hope everybody keeps healthy, and we move to a new phase of extending the activities of what we've done these last few months, which have been quite brilliant. So tell us what you think in the survey of this webinar,